We'll go ahead and call this Public Service Authority meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Thank you all for coming out. We'll start off with a public address. If anybody's here would like to come forward and speak, step forward, state your name, where you live, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Hold on a minute.
Hey.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Appreciate your all's time this evening. My name is John Neal.
Are you come to talk about the Merrimack sewer?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I didn't know if you had it on the.
Yeah, it's on here.
All
It's
right, I'll
on
step
down.
back then.
Thank you. Seeing no one come forward, we'll move to the approval of minutes, the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Now under new business, the Merrimack sewer.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Appreciate your time this evening. My name is John Neal. I'm an engineer with Foresight Design. I'm here representing Price Real Estate and Triple J. I've got a handout I'd like to pass out to you all if you don't mind.
Oh, gosh. What time?
I'll let those get around there, so because I do want to speak to the handout. You've got three pages in front of you here. One is a letter from Jeff Price with Price Williams. And I ask that you read that and take that into consideration. But I'm here on his behalf tonight, as well as Mr. Price, William Price, who's here as well. We started a small subdivision, or the thought of a small subdivision along Merrimack Road for Mr. Price back in 2020, and we're looking at 5 lots. And at that time, Mr. Price started pursuing a sanitary sewer easement from CHP, Community Housing Partners, the owners of the Strubles Ridge subdivision. And so on that second handout, you can kind of see in the yellow there is that Strubles Ridge subdivision. And the solid green line, that's the Blacksburg VPI Service Sanitation Authority sewer line. And we're looking to extend from that up along Merrimack Road to these proposed 5 lots that we have here. If you will notice, Mr. Price's house, he actually lives at the bottom right-hand corner of the page on that. So he's at 1405 Merrimack, just to kind of give you some context on the size of the site. We also are working with Mr. Dobbins on a small sewer easement because we'll also have to cross his land. But Mr. Price has been working with CHP, and they have been unfortunately unable to come to an agreement on the easement. And so we wanted to approach you to see if you might be willing to request an easement from them to be able to extend county public sewer up Merrimack Road to serve not only these 5 lots, but everything in this kind of green highlight that you see here. And it actually goes beyond the page off to the right of the page as well. But it's just the view I've got. One of the things kind of also to note is that there's a lot of the houses that are kind of along on the upper side of Merrimack Road as you're looking at the page that were built in the 50s and 60s. And all those houses are on septic systems right now. And septic systems do have a specific life to them, and they will fail at some point. You can certainly help them by maintaining them and servicing them, things like that. But that is definitely an issue, and this extension would allow for future extension to all those houses up along Merrimack Road, county residents. One thing I will also would like to point out is that CHP had developed Strubles Ridge. That project is under construction and is going to be built out with single family homes. The sewer extension we're talking about is in the floodplain and is in open space. There is no future development potential for that. There's no real value to that land that we're requesting the easement over. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, but Mr. Price is also here to kind of mention a few things and talk a little bit about where he's been with this project and pursuing it. And then I apologize, on the third page, we have done a detailed survey and design for the sewer extension. And Triple J, which is one of Mr. Price's companies, they would pay for all of the design, engineering, and construction of the sewer extension for the county PSA. And then the sewer line would be turned over and dedicated to the county PSA as a public sewer line. And these 5 lots would be the first 5 customers, but we'd expect future extension up Merrimack Road to the rest of the Merrimack Road area there.
We'll start on this side. Do any members have any questions?
Yeah, I'm good. This one's weird. All right, so I have one question. I haven't been able to get an answer on it yet, and I don't know if you all have been down this path yet. But so, if I'm not mistaken, the land or the parcel that CHP project is being built on is part of the New River Home Trust. Is that correct? Am I correct in that, guys? I think, yeah. And so then, I guess my question is, who is CHP even the right entity to approach in requesting that easement? Or do they have the rights to even grant that easement, since that's part of the New River Home Trust?
It has been my understanding that they were the correct people. We have been having discussions with them in previous years where they acted as if they were the ones that would be granting the easement. Now, I guess it's possible we maybe need to do a little bit of research if that's not the case. But all the discussions with them, they have been appeared and acted as if they were the ones that would be granting the easement.
Okay.
They're
That's
the
just one of the,
agent.
I'm sorry.
The
They're the
CHP is the agent, yeah, the
on behalf
managing
of the Home
agent
Trust.
for the home trust.
Okay, okay. That was a
Sure, no,
consideration
it's
that
a good
popped
point.
into my head, so.
Member Kitch, have any questions?
So, and my question is, and maybe I'm a little naive on this, what has been the big holdup that he's been dealing with them for so long? Or does the board know, since before I got here, that why has it become an issue now and it's been brought here as opposed to dealing with it at that level?
Yes, sir. I think, and Mr. Price can speak to this a little more than I can in specifics. But Mr. Price and the CHP have been going back and forth on the value of the easement. And there's a disagreement there on, Mr. Price thinks it's X and they think it's Y.
Okay.
And to this point, and to this point, with looking at, and certainly we've given our opinion on this, and for full disclosure, I'm both the engineer for CHP and for Mr. Price, so I am attempting to be representing Mr. Price when I'm here, but I certainly represent CHP when I'm dealing with their things. But I think the question has been, what is the value of this? And I think from the engineering perspective, it's in the floodplain. It's in an open space area. There's no future development potential for the land. So I think that leads more towards X versus Y.
I may have a follow-up. I just want to hear what everyone else has to say.
I wasn't going to ask any questions about value. Has it been appraised? That would be a good question.
It has not yet. I think they've kind of gotten to stalemate portion of that. I know Mr. Price has offered and would offer to have it appraised and pay whatever the appraised value is.
I do have an unrelated to value question, if I may.
Yeah.
Chair. Marty, do we have any type of history in dealing with a request of this type? Is there any advice you can give us?
A lot of the advice I'd rather give you privately
Okay,
as a group, but I don't know any history that we've ever done this before.
okay.
You mean intervening on a private
Yes.
property owner? Yeah, we never.
Thank you. That was all. Thanks.
Member Steve,
No, my questions just got answered, so I'm good.
Secretary Biggs.
No questions. I met with you guys earlier, and basically my question goes back to what was asked before about why it couldn't be worked out the other way around. So, and that was answered. Thank you.
And I think Mr. Price has a few words he'd like to speak to you with,
Okay.
unless you have something else for me.
All right. Any
Thank
more
you.
questions?
Must have blown up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm William Price. I live at 1405 Merrimack Road, which is just up the street from the subject property being discussed. And we began this long journey, as mentioned by Mr. Neal, actually 4 years ago. And that was with relation to the layout and sewer needs of 5 lots just beyond the triangle presently owned, I think it's owned by Virginia Mountain Housing. When we met with them, there has never been any indication of anything different to that. Initially, we mentioned to Mr. Neal if he would inquire of them the possibility of acquiring a right-of-way or easement there. And we couldn't get an answer from them. And I think initially we offered $5,000 for an easement there. And even though I don't do appraising now, many years ago I did. I'm familiar with the process. And truthfully, to find a comp that would justify that kind of value would have been a challenge even now, in my opinion. However, I respect their opinion. And for that reason, ask for them to quote us an easement price and agreed that we'd be happy to pay for an appraisal. We'd rather for them to get the appraisal and would even agree to pay for it. We came back then, we offered $10,000 and couldn't get a response. And then I met with them on, my son met with them, I think, first there. And on 1 or 2 occasions, without success, couldn't get a proposal. I found it difficult to maintain a communications or a line of communications. And then in one of my meetings, it was suggested, well, they might be interested in trading some land. And so I was agreeable to that, owning property adjacent to one of their properties that happens to be a multifamily project. And understanding the property that I have there is zoned multifamily. Understanding also that they're currently using some of that land for a playground for some of the residents or occupancy. And I had Mr. Neal lay out kind of a triangle of a playground there and thought that should be very attractive to them. Knowing from my experience managing the adjoining property, they do have a need for some additional land area. And it was discussed. Again, couldn't get a response. At a point, I think I increased my offer to 2 square feet for every 1 square feet of land consumption we'd use for an easement. I never was able to get a response. I feel like we've just been held hostage unreasonably and too long. I often have requests for easements. I've dealt with 3 this year. So far, we've granted 2 of them. We're working on the other one. I have never yet charged Montgomery County, Christiansburg, or Blacksburg for an easement. Yes, I have on occasion, with the experience of eminent domain, charged for easements where there was a significant take. And obviously, I have a responsibility of doing that. And most of my property experiences, we have deeds of trust. We have to recover value. We have an obligation to our lenders as well as others. And but in this situation, it's been very different. And here, the only thing I'm really asking you to do is the same thing the county has asked me to do on numerous occasions. I think it was Mr. Todoro that approached me for an easement that would enable Montgomery County to connect to the pump station that Christiansburg had put in, that would provide sewer for Huff Lane and up through Burley to connect to the mobile home park on the east side of Merrimack Road. It's a rather large concentration of mobile homes there. They, at one point, I think they even had I'm sorry, I can't think the name of it right now. It's a sewer system that's no longer permitted in Montgomery County. And they had some sewer problems. And in any event, I granted that easement. There was no charge to the county. I've never connected to it. I had no economic benefit from it. It's possible I could have at a point in the future. That was one situation. Another, Mr. Long came to me, and he could not get a sewer easement up Merrimack Road, specifically across Mrs. Perfader's property. I looked at the property. I was acquainted with the lady. I did an opinion of value. I didn't do a full appraisal, but I did an opinion of value, which I understand was shared with the lady. And that opinion was something less than I understood from Mr. Long that he paid to get the easement. His words to me was that he just decided it was time to get some $100 bills, and he got 5 $100 bills, and he went up and met with the lady and said, here's the $500, sign the easement, it's yours, and yes, as Mr. Price recommended, you can connect to the sewer, and she signed it. So I've experienced a few of those experiences through the years. The one I mentioned this year was town of Blacksburg, and yeah, we don't agree on everything, but we do agree to meet and talk and work with each other for the betterment of our community. And I do the same for Montgomery County. I've spent my life here, except a couple years with Uncle Sam, and I believe in this county, and I want what's best for it. And I really think public sewer is a good thing. And I guess I was coached on that because many years ago, don't want to bore you with too much stuff here, but my manager Scrubby Nutter, helped form the Montgomery County PSA. And often I listened to him, sometimes grumbling, expressing some of those years of organization. But, I guess a couple of the bigger things we did was, there was one other situation, and I don't even know for sure where the service was needed, but I do remember that William Hall needed sewer. And Mr. Long called me, I met with him, and I did grant that sewer. It was no big deal. But a couple things that was bigger to us was that, again, I was contacted for a right-of-way for Orwell Road. And at the time, we owned most or a good portion of that, but not all, making it necessary for us to acquire some additional property to fully comply with that. And we did provide that right-of-way for Merrimack Road. Now, in that case, there's some benefit to us too, because we did own adjoining property there, of course. And there was a serious issue there about fire protection, in that Merrimack Road up to that point was a 10-foot right-of-way, gravel road. And the other item probably of, I think, greater significance, I don't want to bore you with too much of this, I could tell you a few more. But we probably donated a half of a mile for the Huckleberry Trail. And were we eager to give up that land? The land's pretty well located, I can tell you. And has multifamily zoning on it. I'm not sure it had that zoning at the time, to be honest. But nonetheless, so why did we do that? Because we had people that approached us, and we believed that it was for the good of the county. And so we did make that donation. I say the county, it was also the town of Christiansburg. And so now, what do we want? What do we really want? And Marty mentioned, and I respect and appreciate the fact that the county doesn't like doing eminent domains. And I'm not here trying to press you or encourage you to start going that route. We all know sometimes it's necessary, but that's not why I'm here. I'm simply asking that the county just simply exert the same effort to communicate with my neighbors that they communicated when they came to me and convinced me it was for the public good to get this, to grant this easement. And in this case, I'm not asking them to do it for nothing. We're happy if the county would be willing. I think it would be a good move for the county to have the land assessed, fair value, and then if you would, respectfully, I would ask, have your designated representative to communicate with them and share with them that we've got roughly approximately 16 people or parcels of land that have expressed need and desire for improvement of sewer. Now, I'm not wanting you to misunderstand. I'm saying that all of them are ready tonight to connect immediately. But these are people who would like to have public sewer made available. And I can tell you there's a lot more. I've had several that even some have told me they'd try to make it tonight. They didn't. I've had some, I have a limited amount of time like everybody else. And it does take time to go around and speak to your neighbors. I'm convinced it's a win-win situation for Montgomery County PSA economically, because immediately you can with an improvement of this line, enjoy some income from connections. You already have the water line in place. And so, but then I really just kind of backed away from the matter for a while. And then I bought some land up the street from this, adjacent to my home, 1405 Merrimack, and had John Neal looking at it, as well as I had the soil engineers look at it to lay out, look at the soil condition, to lay out sewer systems. And I had John Neal's associates give me some approximate lot lines and trying to be sure we got the sewer where it needed to be. And John's, and I value his advice, said, why in the world are you proposing to put in sewer systems here when you're in sight of public sewer? And I said, John, you know the reasons for that. I mean, Lord, I'm not sure how old I was then, but I can tell you right now, I'm too old to sit around with people for 3 and 4 years that can't make a decision. And at my point and age in life, I kind of feel like it's important to move on, especially if I know it's something worthwhile. And these gentlemen, I have 2 of them here tonight that work with us, and I'm fortunate that they work with us. And one lives next door to me, Chris, and he may have something to say when I get through. But he and his wife, excellent neighbors. We'd like to keep them as neighbors. And we would like to replace the mobile home where they live and grant them some property to build them a house. The gentleman beside of him, Nathan, has indicated he too would like to build a house there. And I just saw a note from our governor, what a serious deficiency of housing we have in the state of Virginia. And having been involved in real estate for 60 or more years, some as a contractor, a little bit of developing, some in sales, some insurance, I can tell you, based on my experience, that the decisions you make is so important, the decisions on a local level to help meet the housing needs. And there's a lot of things can be done. And it's important that we do this, in my opinion. And I guess with that, I'll try to sit down and be quiet. I hope I haven't been too long. And I sincerely request your help. Again, the only thing I want is the county, through whatever tools you have, associates you work with, to make a sincere effort just to get us this easement. We'll pay for it. We're even going to pay to extend the sewer line, both engineering and the sewer line, and to get it up to Haywood Lane. So that's my request. And again, I appreciate your time and your listening. Are there any questions you'd like to ask me?
Not at this time, but we do appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Feel free. You can ask now or ask later. Chris?
Everything I will say.
Nathan?
Well, I've lived here my whole life. You know, we get
You-
the door.
Oh, Nathan.
You want to come up here?
It's weird.
Nathan has been, he's had a loss in the family. And I can tell you, this is important to him. That's why he's here.
As William said, you know, I've lived in Montgomery County my entire life, never lived anywhere else. But, you know, me and my wife talked about maybe putting us a house down in Merrimack. But, you know, without the sewer there, you gonna be what, 40 grand to put a septic in down there? You know, for us to move forward with this house, we need this sewer line. That's what it boils down to. And I spoke with many other people in Merrimack. As William said, there's several other people that ain't gonna latch on to it today, but I know they will. They're gonna have to. You know, and most people can't afford to put a new septic system in. You know, right now in the county, you're probably what Chuck may be able to answer. It's probably what, 35,000 average. Sound about right. So, but I hope y'all take this and try to get this easement. Like I say, this line's needed through there. So, you know, all right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody else want to speak on this? All righty, thank you. Now we'll move to financial report.
The end of November, operating cash, $3,306,100. Capital improvement, $714,078. Customer deposits, $104,450, for a total of $4,124,628. Yeah, I got it to work. That's all it will. That's it. Just a couple things. Just want to say that Reiner Waterline project is complete. We are scheduling a walkthrough so we can close out that portion of the joinder project. Hopefully have that done in the next couple weeks. There's still some work left out there with the wells. We've got to close out all 3 wells that were in Reiner, the commercial well, the wells that we have out there. We got to close those out. We'll work with the health department to get those done. Signed contracts today for Camp Christie water tank project and also the replacement of the 2-inch water line on Old Well Road. No word on when the start date for either one of those are. Maybe, hopefully have something next couple weeks is when they plan on beginning to work. Meter change-out project for residential customers almost finished. Contractor is changing ones they couldn't locate initially. They've been working with our staff to locate those and help them find the last few of those. I'd like to add that since January the 1st, we have added 166 new water and sewer customers system-wide for PSA. That's all I have.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I do.
You, Steve. Not you, Steve.
Chuck, you had a break on oil well, correct?
2.
Was it in the 2-inch section that broke? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, they had a break on Thanksgiving Day.
Just want to do a quick follow-up on some things. Where are we at as far as the overall assessment of the total system for the county?
That we're meeting Thursday to talk some more about that, but that's ongoing. Hurt and Profit will be leading that up, so it's going to be happening. It's just we're finalizing everything on Thursday to see where we are.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we've got a definitive end for that, so it's not just like an open end and say.
So it's definitely going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, I just have to sign off on I got the proposal from them today. I just got to sign off on it and send it back to them in the morning.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions? You, Miss Mary? Members report. Member Grassley.
I just appreciate you guys' swift action over the holiday to help those folks out over there on Oil Well Road. So thank you for that.
Now you got it to work.
Well, now I got it to work.
It wasn't me.
Now it wants to work too much. Stop. I'm gonna unplug it.
Is that all you had? Member Kitts?
No report.
Member Demott?
No report.
Member Steve?
I don't have a report, but I do have a lot of questions about what was just reported in new business. And I'm just curious, do we need a closed session to discuss the legal part of that? Or
If the board wants to, I mean, that's something we could go into closed session.
okay. All right. Yeah. Other than that, I don't have a report.
Secretary Biggs?
I don't have a report, but since this is our last meeting of the year, just sort of thinking about our PSA employees and wishing them well for the holidays. And thanking them for being out there 24/7 when needed.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. I don't have no report, but do y'all want to set up some time to have a closed session, or what's the board's preference?
I mean, we could do it at the January meeting if you want. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Be good.
All right, put that on the agenda.
Okay, I will.
All right. And one last thing, and then we adjourn. Happy birthday, Steve. Meeting adjourned.